support the homegrown startups. So when we talk about being an open ecosystem project, meaning everyone, whoever is interested in supporting the goal is welcome on board. Uh, when we talk about startup ecosystem, funding has always been one of the biggest challenges and has contributed about 55% of most failures in failures in startups. So, putting that aside, it also affects um, growth of course of the ecosystem, but also when people outside those we mostly depend on funding from abroad, when they see that us as people in Uganda are not investing in our own startups, they get bias. So if we can strengthen our own empower our local investors to put money in our startup, it will eventually uh, string will also promote them to put more money into us. Some few lessons from our other African countries. Talk about Nigeria. Nigeria in 2022 was able to raise
Eric, are you there? Looks like we have lost you.
1.2.
Eric, are you there? Eric. Okay, looks like we've lost Eric, but I can quickly take you through as maybe Eric comes back. So looking at the big four literally means the best startup ecosystems in Africa, and they include Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and Egypt. In 2022, Nigeria was able to raise 1.2 billion in local investment. And in Kenya, 8% of their GDP is contributed by Silicon Savannah into job employment to the young people. That tells you the potential of the startup industry. In South Africa, 23% was noticed as a result of financial inclusion in the ecosystem. Eric, when you come back, you let me know. And then in Egypt, and of course, financial inclusion, that is as a result of startups, just like we see mobile money. If we are to assess the impact of mobile money in Uganda, I think it is even more than 23% growth. It's actually like 60%, if not 50, or even more. So that is the impact of startups. In Egypt also, they raised 400 million in COVID itself, 400 million locally. This is what we are talking about locally. If we brought numbers for Uganda, of course, it's literally almost nothing. Yeah, what is our vision board? We are looking forward to building a robust investment culture in Uganda through this investor knowledge and learning series, where we look forward to educating investors on startup opportunities in our ecosystem, engaging stakeholders just like yourself to enhance local investment, and then sharing insights and best practices on how this actually works. So that is why we invite experts just like Richard today will be sharing his knowledge and giving us insights about the Ugandan case. But over time, in the last 2 sessions, we hosted financial sector deepening Uganda, where they, discuss their experience in making deals, what you need to be investor ready, and stuff like that. Of course, the next where we hosted a Kenyan renowned institution that so far manages a portfolio of over $800 million with 10 years of experience in the ecosystem. You learn a lot. Those are the insights we are talking about. Currently, the milestones we are looking at is we have had some research training in collaboration with UNCST. We have participated in key programs, as we shall be seeing. We have supported a startup champion in fundraising. And these are some of the activities that we have engaged in. Just some pictorials, and we look forward to Uganda's funding landscape a study We hope to undertake that study, and then development of investor networks. We would want to see more investor networks, angel networks, VC funds coming up, and we hope we can provide support from the experience we have and we shall be accumulating over time. And of course, we startup investment support centers. That is what we're looking forward to building. If you can build some and we support you, of course, we'll be excited about that. Diverse funding mechanisms, that is something we need to see in the ecosystem. Maybe banks doing that, looking at insurance companies. These are biggest institutions that would actually be taking on funding, different funding mechanisms, such as maybe revenue sharing, maybe many others, impact capital, maybe what is the, like, patient capital, name it. Strategic collaborations, we hope to collaborate with you, with the media, with institutions, just like today we are collaborating with Uganda Investment Authority, and so on and so forth. Proactive action, we would want to see you turn up over and over into participating in the Investor Knowledge Learning Series to learn more about this. The beauty of learning about this means that any upcoming investor network, you would be an ideal worker there, you would be an ideal investor to be looked at, and so on and so forth. And the beauty with these SFV sessions, soon, around June, we will be doing a soft launch and we will award certificates of completion of at least the first 10 sessions. So for consistent people, you would get certification, and this could be helpful as you go on building your career, your journey to being an investor, investing in startups, and working into these kind of institutions. Supporting Uganda investor ecosystem. If you are in support of this cause, this is the link you go to and apply, and maybe eventually you would be followed up to subscribe as a member, and we together drive this conversation. Like the previous session, we discussed about startups potential asset class for investment to Ugandan investors. You need to have this information, and the information is still out there for you to learn and digest. Today we are hosting Mr. Richard, who is going to tell us who can invest in Uganda, what's the current status quo of Uganda's local investment. These are the membership tiers. Literally, the collections from this are to build this progress, to construct this ecosystem together, so that we start hearing stories of, I received 100,000 from a Ugandan investor, and that is a startup story. We'll be very, very excited and happy about that. I've received 1 million Ugandan shillings. I've received this and that and the other, And should you want to contact us, currently SFV Startup Funding Vehicles is at TechBuzz Hub, and you can visit our site, though it is still in development, landing page on techbuzzhub.org/SFV. And LinkedIn, we already have a link there a page there as well. Otherwise, thank you very much. We can straight go into our discussion. I want, therefore, to invite our guest speaker of the day, Mr. Richard. If you are there, kindly take on the mantle and lead the conversation. Thank you. Over to you, Richard.
Okay, thank you very much, Kenneth. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are.
Good morning.
Kenneth, thank you for
good evening, good afternoon.
inviting me and all the participants who are here. My name is Richard Nwenyesiga. I work for Uganda Investment Authority as the Director for Domestic Investment, mandated to grow or champion the growth of local investment in Uganda. So I'm glad to be here. I don't know, Kenneth, if I can go straight into the discussion.
Yeah, sure, you can go straight into it. Do you have a presentation you want to share,
Okay.
or?
No. I will just run through, and then maybe people will be asking the questions. I don't have the presentation. Maybe before we go into the question of the day, what is Uganda Investment Authority? For you, maybe you're out there and you don't know. It's the government agency mandated or responsible for promoting, facilitating, and supporting investment, and also advising government on the policy, investment policy related matters in Uganda. So we rotate about investment promotion, where we market Uganda locally and abroad to attract investments. And recently, we have been voted the best IPA, investment promotion agency in Africa. And for the last 2 years, we've been running number one. By this time, we got the second position as the best investment promotion agency in Africa. So, how do we do investment promotion? We participate in trade fairs, investment forums, and other promotional events, where we market our opportunities, our costed investment opportunities, to attract local and foreign investment. Another angle that we facilitate as Uganda Investment Authority is investment facilitation, and we under our one-stop center, where we have currently over 15 government agencies that issues out licenses and approvals, environmental clearances, work permits, business registration, tax registration, among others. So the idea here is to fast track the processes and cut the costs and turnaround time. So we are located in Koro, Baskerville Avenue, where you walk in and get all these services under one roof from government agencies. We also do industrial and business park development. I'm sure most of you know Namave, where we service the infrastructure, including roads, ICT, water, electricity. Then we allocate land to the investors for free to set up. So currently we have over 400 companies operating in Namave that have created jobs. And we have other parks, Ruzira, Buyogere, among others, and we want to expand all these parks to all parts of the country. We also do policy advocacy and reforms. As I mentioned, we advise government on conducive investment climate. So we work with other stakeholders, private sector, the whole ecosystem to streamline laws, regulations, and policies that are affecting environment. Second to last is we support local investors. I said I head the Department of Local Investment. So here we want to see our local investors growing. There is that notion that Uganda or UI is for foreign investors, but that's not true. We also support our local investors. We offer business advisory support. We do business linkages, where we link you to foreign for capital and technology transfer, but also we support you to identify opportunities. We have a number of custody opportunities for our local investors to tap in, but also access incentives and also capacity building programs. Then after that, we do monitoring and evaluation of investment, because at the end of the day, we want to evaluate and see all these licensed investors who have been given incentives, land, and all that, what is the outcome or output. So we do monitoring to see the impact. And our end goal is to create jobs and also create revenue to contribute to our GDP. So the question of the day is, who is supposed to invest in Uganda, and what is the status quo? So Uganda presents a dynamic investment landscape where we have various opportunities across sectors, and these sectors include agriculture. Now, under our NDP4, new NDP4 that is starting in this next financial year, we are driven by ATMs. ATMs are agro-industrialization, tourism, minerals, and science and technology. So we want to grow our economy tenfold under our vision 2040. So we are targeting that by the time we reach 2040, our economy, our GDP, which is now at 53 billion US dollars, want to grow it to 500 billions. So, and these are the sectors that we are focusing on that will help us to raise the revenue or to grow this GDP. So these sectors are agro-industrialization, tourism, minerals, science, technology, and innovation. So we are focusing on that in the next 5 years under NDP4 to ensure that we grow our economy. Who is supposed to invest in Uganda? You know, Uganda is a liberalized economy. It's open and wide to all ranges of entities, investors. But we target foreign investors who bring in their capital, and the number of incentives for foreign investors or regulations that govern these foreign investors. And we have attracted a number of them from China, Turkey, UK, USA, India, and they have set up their businesses here. And we regard them as some of the people who can invest in Uganda. We also have domestic investors. They can also invest in Uganda, and these are Ugandan entrepreneurs and businesses. And currently, majority are in informal sector, or they are still small, ticket sized. So they are also recognized as people who can invest in Uganda. But under the current law, the Investment Code Act of 2019, for you to be recognized by us or by government as an investor, if you're a local investor, at least you should be able to or have invested a minimum capital of 50,000 US dollars with our investment license. So if you have minimum invested US dollars and you have our investment license, we will regard you as a local investor or domestic investor. And you are open to all the incentives compared to a foreigner, where is required to at least invest 250,000 US dollars. That's the when it comes to capital threshold. For a local investor, 50,000 minimum. For a foreign, 250,000 US dollars. I've talked foreign, domestic. Now we also allow multinational corporations also to come and invest here in Uganda. And some of them, you know them, Total Energies, Sinok, telecommunications like MTN, Airtel, and other agro-businesses, key value players. They are also allowed to come and invest here. Another category who is supposed to invest in Uganda, our diaspora investors. Ugandans who are living abroad can bring in their capital and invest. Some have invested in real estate and other areas. So, and there is a program that we are working on with the Bank of Uganda to channel these remittances to investment. We are looking at 10%, and we are seeing diaspora contributing a lot. last financial year, a lot of money came in. So we want to see how do we channel this money into investment. So people who are living in diaspora can also invest here. Then we have development partners and institutions like World Bank, African Development Bank, private equity firms. They can also invest, and some of them have actually funded infrastructure projects, energy, and other social projects. Then the last category are SMEs and startups. They can also invest, and there are government programs that are aimed to support these SMEs and startups to start and operate. Some are operating in innovation hubs, and at UIA, we are intending to support SMEs and startups by helping them access innovative workspaces. We have our flagship project that we are soon commencing on. That is Namamve Industrial Park. We want to build a workspace for SMEs to allow them come operate. When they build the capacity, they can also go out to industrial park and compete for land. Because we know they don't have the financial muscle, the capacity, and the idea is to reduce the cost of doing business for them so that they can be able to survive. So those are some of the categories of people who can invest in Uganda: foreign investors, domestic investors, multinational corporations, diaspora investors, development partners and institutions, SMEs, and startups. If I can talk about the status quo of Uganda, Uganda's investment climate is shaped by economic growth. You look at policy reforms, and of course, some challenges here and there. The current Uganda's GDP is growing at 6%, and the projections indicate we will be growing at 6.6. And majorly, this growth is driven by investments. For example, in oil and gas, you know what is happening there. In agriculture, where the government has injected over 2 trillion Uganda shillings in PDM, in Emyoga, to boost the productivity, the grassroots. Then we have services. When you look at, for example, foreign direct investment, FDI, last financial year, we were able to hit $3 billion US, and we are regarded as the best country in East Africa for attracting FDI. The status quo, we have oil and gas boom. You know what is happening in Hoima, the ECOP, and currently Uganda signed a deal of 4.5 billion oil refinery, which is going to be completed in the next 3 years. So the key sectors, agriculture, real estate, technology, tourism, manufacturing, among others. But now the government has shifted its attention to ATMs, agro-industrialization. We want to add value to our products so that we can create more jobs, but also earn more money. Currently, Uganda is exporting coffee, but just green beans. And when you look at the money we get compared to what we buy, import, like Nescafe, you see there is a lot of money that is going to the other side compared to when it has, if we add value to our products, we can be able to make more money. So the government is focusing on value addition to create more jobs, but also provide market for our raw materials. So it's very key in our next NDP 3, I mean NDP 4. Then the tourism, you see the tourism potential. Then minerals, including oil and gas, gold, rare earth minerals, iron ore, among others. Then science, technology, and innovation. So those are the key sectors that the government of Uganda is focusing on to grow our economy. The policy environment, if I'm to talk about the Uganda Investment Authority, as the lead agents to promote and attract investors, but also to grow investment in the country. We operate under one-stop center and purposely streamline licensing. The investment code 2019 also facilitates both local and foreign investors, and they get equal treatment when it comes to incentives, but there are some exceptions for our local investors. Some challenges, of course, there are challenges here and there. We still have some infrastructure gaps, like roads connecting to rural areas where the production is taking place. So we find the investors incurring high costs when it comes to transportation of goods or products from production areas, maybe to industries or to urban centers. Irrigation, we are still considered as rain-fed agriculture. So there is that challenge, and we are not able to produce all year round. Storage facilities, cold chains, all these are impacting agriculture and logistics. There are potential risks when it comes to geopolitics. You see what is happening in Congo, South Sudan, Somalia. So meaning that it will affect our export performance, where some of our good markets, when you look at statistics, Uganda exported most of its products in East African region. So when you have political turmoil in Congo, South Sudan, Somalia, that means our exports will go below as expected. So we have potential risks when it comes to politics. There are some regulatory hurdles here and there, bureaucracies, inconsistencies. Some are saying high taxes. So those are some of the challenges that are affecting our investment climate in Uganda. Recent developments or emerging issues, our current investment climate. Of course, the NDP for 2025-2030 targets 500 billion economy by 2040 through industrialization, value addition, science, technology, and innovation. Then, as I mentioned, we signed the deal for oil refinery with UAE Alpha MBM Investments to construct oil refinery in Uganda, but also the ECOP that is going on well. So we believe these current investments that have really happened will be able to shape our next course of action when it comes to investment in Uganda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Richard, for that great submission or those great submissions. I already have some questions in the chat, which I think I could read for you to respond to. I can see 50,000 is crazy for local investors. That's close to 2 million. 2 billion. No. I think they meant maybe 200 million. This means most SMEs can't benefit. Okay, no, I think maybe you can find a way of how that can be a question. Then there is someone who can't raise 50,000 is not regarded as a local investor. This seems too huge. Maybe you can first address that concern as the colleagues share their questions. Should you have a question, you can raise up your hand and we ask you to ask your question directly. Over to you, Richard, to that comment.
Thank you, Kenneth. Yes, 50,000 to be regarded as a domestic or local investor. True. As I said, our role is to advise government on investment and policy-related matters. For the last, since it was enacted and as per our strategic plan, which is ending this financial year, we have realized that there's a number of SMEs that have been left behind. They could not be able to benefit because of the amount or threshold. So in our revised policy that now is ongoing, we want to reduce this amount to the figure that I'm not able to disclose now, but we are still consulting, but we realize it's true that some of our SMEs, when you look at the statistics, almost 90% of our private sector is composed of SMEs, and they cannot be able to raise this amount to benefit. For example, it's very, if you want to import machinery now into the country, for manufacturing, for value addition. First, there is an exemption. You don't pay any tax, plant and machinery, but you have to attach the investment license to show that this plant and machinery is intended for value addition and manufacturing. So if you don't have this investment license, then it becomes hard for you to benefit. You end up paying a lot of taxes, which you should have avoided. So for our SMEs to benefit, we are revising this amount of money to be lower so that majority of our SMEs who have invested 10,000, 20,000, 25 can also be able to tap into this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Adam, I see your hand is up. Kindly unmute and ask your question.
Thank you for organizing this. I'm liking the session, and thank you, Mr. Richard, for the insights you shared. Partly, I've been waiting for this training, and it has landed. So my name is Abaho Adam, and I'm the founder of Sparkable Toothpaste. It is a brand that is a startup here in Imbara. And I've been building this brand for a couple of years, which is now 1.5 years. But my question goes, Mr. Richard, you have talked about the Uganda Investment Authority supporting startups and providing innovative workspaces for them. Yeah, but these innovation workspaces, sometimes they are provided through government institutions like universities. And these universities charge a lot they require a lot of equity for you to use their resources. For example, if you are to revise the Imbara University intellectual property policy, they require at least to take about 70% equity of your company if you are to use their resources or to develop your product or innovation from their resource set. What do you talk about that? Because it is a challenge for young innovators who could have wished to innovate. And also, I would like my second question I would like you to tease about the youth apprenticeship program for fresh graduates. I saw this on your website under Uganda Investment Authority, but I don't know who is eligible to apply and how do we apply, because I wanted to be part of this, but I couldn't access it. So how can you help me apply for the youth apprenticeship program, and what are the benefits of me being part of it? Thank you so much.
All right. Kenneth, can I respond?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. On the workspaces, yes, but the government does not work in isolation. The role of government is to create an enabling environment for businesses, for you to thrive, start business, collaborate, pattern, and grow. So there are a number of government institutions, especially universities like Makerere, Chambog, Mobuzu, Stema, Rira, among others, that have incubation centers. But there is no policy or law that says if you set up these incubations, you must charge this. So I cannot specifically state why maybe the cost is high for you to access their services, but I think it's a matter that we can take up, maybe engage these stakeholders, especially the university incubation centers, to see how they can reduce the cost for these startups to thrive. We have supported a number of some of the incubation centers. For example, Churad. Churad is we gave them land in Namave, and we have an understanding with them to incubate these SMEs at a very minimal cost, because they did not incur cost, for example, to acquire land. So we gave them free land, and we expect them also to charge minimum cost to our SMEs or our startups. We realize that, and that's why as UIA, we are coming in. We are not diluting what is existing, but we are coming in. We realize that gap, and we will be setting up workspaces. For this one hasn't started. The process is ongoing of construction. So we want to invite these startups, SMEs, different value chains to come, produce for a certain period of time. Then when you have built the capacity, you get out, maybe you are able to rent or set up your own, or maybe to compete for industrial park, because majority say they cannot now. The requirement for you to access land industrial park is that you show the capacity that you can be able to raise 50,000, or you have it, then you get investment license. Now, if you don't have investment license, you can't apply for land, and majority cannot be able to raise that money. So that's why we are setting up these workspaces to allow these SMEs reduce their costs as much as possible, create jobs for our Ugandans. Then afterwards, for a certain period of time that we can agree on, then they go and so. But I accept there is that challenge. Even private companies that have incubation centers, some of them charge high rates for you to operate and produce from there. But we will take up this matter, and we'll be able to engage the stakeholders to see how they can reduce the costs. Then on youth apprenticeship program, yes, UIA was doing it, but for some reasons it stopped. But we are resuming next financial year, July. please get my details. And we are targeting students who are leaving universities. So who are in third year, graduating, those are the people we are targeting, who will be giving you work employment readiness, giving you that training, and also link you to companies, organizations, those who are in industrial park, the investors who have set up industrial park will be able to link you depending on the sector that you are interested in. So it had stopped, but we are resuming next financial year to see how we can scale our youth to be able to take up the opportunities that are there or those that are emerging. Definitely, it is very important because even the report shows that our labor force is lacking in East Africa. However, we have the cheap labor, which is one of the reasons why we are attracting some of the investments. We really have same-skilled cheap labor, but that one does not guarantee. That's why we want to come in, work with several stakeholders to ensure that we skill our youth. By the time they go to look for jobs, they are able to perform. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. I am going to read out around 3 questions, and then you can also take them at a go. We have gotten investors from out doing small businesses that would be the presence of locals, e.g. making of building blocks, pavers, etc. At the same time, they have access to imported cement, throwing Ugandans out of business. What's your take? That is one. Another one by Roy says, so you talked about the tenfold by 2040. How much does local investment contribute to this tenfold? If yes, what is the value to this, since FDI is an unpredictable measure, especially with many USAID's funding cuts? What does geopolitics mean? I think that is maybe another question also. And then here we have, how does UIA treat or handle investors in capital markets in terms of licensing and facilitation? I don't know whether this is your question as well, but you can first take on those and then we can read out the others after those 3.
Okay, thank you. Foreign taking up businesses for locals. It's true, we've had those challenges where you find them hawking products. Now, the challenge is some of them, as UIA, our role is to license the investors who are going to set up businesses in Uganda. Could be services, ICT, manufacturing, agro-industry, any. But some, the law does not stop a foreign to come in and set up a business. We've seen the shops downtown, anywhere, but we have realized this together with Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, that we need to ring-fence some of sectors for our locals. So they are drafting a law that will prohibit foreigners from coming in and start doing petty trade here and there. So we hope soon it will be tabled to cabinet and passed. Then on how the domestic, or how will Uganda grow tenfold when the FDI is unpredictable? Yes, that's why we have our national development plan. It's a national plan, and yes, it has the character of how you can tap into different opportunities to grow economy. But here we have identified our sectors. That is, as I mentioned, agro-industrialization, tourism, minerals, science, technology. So we want to grow our economy, focusing on these areas. And it's not me, but also you. So the duty is on us to ensure that we as Ugandans, we grow our economy and we be self-sustaining. How does UIA work with investors in capital markets? They are regulated by Uganda, by Capital Markets Authority. So UIA will facilitate, we do a facilitation angle, but they are governed and regulated by Capital Markets Authority. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We have another couple of questions. May you emphasize more on the Namave project for SMEs and who will qualify and the criteria to follow? That is from Matthew. And then what evidence must one show for the amount required for one to qualify for investment license? Is this bank statement or the business plan? And then I think this is also a related one I can read. What are the considerations of the 50,000? Like, can one's lifetime rent for the business, payment of salaries, assets, and grants, investments raised make a business case? Okay, a business, an investor? Over to you.
Repeat the last question.
What are the considerations of the 50,000? Like, can one's lifetime rent for the business, payment of salaries, assets, and grants, investments raised make a business an investor? Or maybe to get a license? Yes.
Okay. Yes, Namave workspace flagship. It's ongoing. Who will qualify? What is the criteria? Once the project is done, I encourage you to go to look for our national SME portal platform. You can access it via mybusiness.go.ug. The reason why we set up that portal is that many businesses are out there. They need our services, but we don't know where they are. So we want you to go to that portal and profile yourself a number of questions, but it gives us insights to know where you are, maybe by region, by district, what you are producing, what challenges are you facing, and what support do you need. So when we get that data, we analyze it and then start doing linkages. So at that time, the information that will be available for me is to go to the portal. We agree on the sectors or value chains, run through, get the SMEs, now invite them to come and start operating. So if I don't have you in the database, you are likely to miss. So I encourage you, it's for free. Go to our website, mybusiness.go.ug. You can register as a business service provider. You can register as an SME, but also at a later date, you will also register for that youth apprenticeship program because we will be receiving applications through that portal. So for now, I will first wait until the project is up, then we will be able to communicate who qualifies, and then we will be able to onboard you. Then on the evidence of 50,000 for you to qualify, the guidelines are very clear. You just need trust that you can be able to raise 50,000. It could be cash. It could be bank statement for the company if you're already existing. Bank statement shows the transactions that have gone through that bank account and they are worth 50K or more than that. Or the bank statement for the director of the company or startup or an SME. Or you show the proof of funding. So if you have a funder, could be the bank, could be an investor who is going to invest in your business that you are requiring the license for, then we will be able to issue the investment license. It could even be assets, machinery that are worth 50,000 US dollars or more. Then we will be able to issue the investment license. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope that we are enjoying the conversation and the knowledge at our fingertips right about now. We still have a round of questions to you, Mr. Richard, and thank you very much for offering your time to us. And I hope the participants, you can show your excitement by using the reactions, icons on how you love the conversation, if you can. Thank you very much, Lewis. Thank you very much, Samuel, and many others. Show your love. Adam. The next round of question is what's your role in setting up investment vehicles such as VCs, angel firms, and others in Uganda? That is the first one. The second one is, and what does the regulation particularly say about such establishments? I think this is being asked by Eric, who is part of the organizing initiative for this session. So maybe in the audience, there might be several of the people who want to set up funds such as venture capital firms, angel investment, angel networks. So maybe you can provide insights around that. Then the next question is, how can UIA influence the development of the national startup policy? We really need a structured framework providing incentives for startups to boost their growth. This has always come up in every session we've had. And thank you very much to you, Adam. That is from Adam. And then there is this other one. Are there any other payments while applying for the license that we could know? I think you can take on that round, and then we shall come back with another round of questions. Thank you.
Okay. The role of UIA in setting up VCs. Our mandate is to facilitate, promote, and attract. I think during the course of our implementation, we must have attracted. I don't have the data with me, but I can find out. But also to create, for example, now we have incentives for equity funders. I don't know whether most of you are aware. If you invest in our startups, the private equity venture capital incentives need capital duty on shares and exemptions from tax on income from private equity or venture capital funds. So when you look at our current incentive regime 2024-2025, there is that exemption. So our role basically as UIA is to make sure there is a conducive environment, but we can work together. And I really want to urge you, let's work together. Let's see how we can build our own vehicle than going outside to look for equity funders. We can build our local base here. And I urge and pledge that I'm ready to work with you to see how we can build our own vehicle here. The regulation, if you want to set up a capital fund in Uganda, as I mentioned, the regulatory framework is being supervised by Capital Markets Authority under the Act Cap 84. So they have their key regulations on how to, and steps on how to establish a capital fund in Uganda. So I urge you to make research or visit Capital Markets Authority, or I can be able to, you can come to One Stop Center here because we have Capital Markets Authority here for you to get details. But generally, it's understanding the legal structure, the type of fund. Of course, you have to register the fund as a company, meet You have to meet the CMA or Capital Markets Authority licensing requirements. There are regulations there. And the key, you have to have board of directors. All those things are there. Then meet financial requirements, capital threshold as per 2021 regulations, they are there. Maybe net capital of 190 million or minimum whatever. The fund manager, all those things. So source of capital. Then you have to obtain additional license, even from us, the investment authority, the tax identification number. You have to comply with tax regulations, for example, the income tax amendment of 20. So there are a number of, then you set up operations and all those things. So I advise you, please get in touch with me. I will be able to avail you all the necessary information to set up here. How can UIA influence startup policy? As we are mandated by investment code to advise government, and every financial year we table policies that can really enhance the startup ecosystem. I'm sure we participated in the startup policy, which is still ongoing. You have seen recently what finance ministry tabled before parliament to give 3 years tax holiday to businesses that are starting or cannot, they are not, those who cannot reach the turnover of 500 million. So those are some of the, but we can really work together and develop a policy. And Kenneth, you can organize. Then in our next financial year, 2026, 2027, we can really work on these policies and table them before the parliament that can enhance our startup ecosystem. Do you require any payments for you to get investment license? No, it's 100% free. You don't need to pay any cost, and you can obtain it via our portal. You go to our portal platform and you apply. There are requirements that we need, of course, as I mentioned, evidence of funding or capital, the threshold of 50K as a local investor, not cash. Can be bank statement, or you have a proof from somebody that I'm ready to fund this investment. It could be bank statement. It can be bank statement for the director, assets, machinery, and others. Then, of course, we need the business plan for you to tell us the markets where you are going to source the raw materials, the number of jobs you are going to create. Then, of course, the directors' credentials like passport or national ID, then TIN number, and all those. So if you go to our portal eBiz, you can access it via our ebiz.go.ug or at uganda'invest.go.ug. Then there is a link there where you say apply for investment license. Then you go step by step, fill and attach all the necessary documents. Within 24 hours, you will be able to get your investment license. If you feel you cannot be able, please get in touch with me or come to our one-stop center. We will be able to guide you on how to get the investment license. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those insights from you, Richard. And I think at the moment, I don't see many more questions. I am a refugee from Isingiro district. Okay, let me first look at this quickly. Isingiro district settlement, I need to know if I can think to implement a project, that what I need to know and have to be able for implementing the project. I don't know, that looks like whether that looks like a question. Okay, I see this last one. I am looking for angel investors. Maybe you might want to address if you have networks that are open, or whether there is a platform that people on the call can find investors. And then we have, how can one reach out to you, Richard, and TBH Hub? I'll be glad to engage. Thank you for organizing. Yes, thank you very much, Adam. And I think on the TechBuzz Hub side of things, you definitely can reach out through different channels. But the fact that you have received or you have registered for this session, we can always get in touch via email. Maybe Richard will share his details as well. Richard, maybe you might want to address this question of I am looking for angel investors, and then we can close. Yeah, Richard has shared his email. You can see it in the chat as he addresses the last question. But maybe before he addresses the last question, and maybe after that, where he will give his parting shots, I want to remind you that this event is proudly in partnership with TechBuzz Hub and Uganda Management Institute, a premier institution in research, management, and distance learning for postgraduate persons. And also, of course, TechBuzz Hub, which is an innovation hub that is doing a lot of work in inspiring and empowering local investors to invest in Uganda, become local investors, but as well as providing young innovators opportunities, facilities, and capacity to be able to build businesses. Yeah, Richard, you can address the last question, after which you can also give your parting shots, and then we can close the session. For those who came in a little later, after the parting shots, feel free to stay so that you know why startup funding vehicles, why is it in the space, what can you do to contribute to this conversation, because we know that we cannot do it alone. And especially those ones who are from the media fraternity would want to work closely with you. This tenfold that Richard talks about, if we do not empower our local investors, it might be one of the hard things to reach. You know, it might be like any other business plan, and then we come closer to the time and we do not see much. But if we empower local investors to start getting licenses, to start investing locally, we create more jobs, just as Eric presented about the Big Four. So feel free to stay behind for a quick roundup. And maybe you can also join us as members, as advocates, and so on and so forth. Over to you, Richard.
Okay, thank you very much, Kenneth. Someone who asked about that is a refugee and would want to set up a project in Uganda. Yeah, the law allows. I've shared my email. If he or she can get in touch with me, and we see how to support, but also there are projects that are intending to support the refugees. I'm sure you know Grow Project for Women. It has a component of refugees, and also Invite Project that is supporting the local investors to manufacture for export. Also has the component of the refugees. But I've shared my email, then please get in touch with me, and then we'll see how to support you. My last, my parting shots is that.
Before
Uganda.
that, Richard, someone asked they are looking for angel investors like you have.
Okay. So now, angel investors. Now I can't really tell you that yes, I have them. But now we need to meet. You share your opportunity or your idea or your product. Then I'm able to promote it. Or I see in the network and say, okay, because we have people who come asking for opportunities. They want to invest in Uganda, either invest in companies or invest on their own, or look for partners to do joint ventures. So I have now to understand what is your product, then I'm able to promote it or market it if I don't have any available fund or angel investor there and then. So please, I've shared my email. It's Richard Nwanyisiga at ugandainvest.go.ug. You can reach out or you can visit our office here at Kororo, Baskerville. Then we have a chat and then get our way forward. So my last comment is that at UIA, this unit is basically to champion or support the local investment. We want to grow our local investors from micro, small to medium, and to large investors. So our role is to facilitate you. If you feel that there is that office or there is that service that you want from the government, but you have not been able because of ABCD, please reach out to me. We have the convening power to call any government agents, or we have the convening power to facilitate. You have been struggling for standards and certification from UNBS, please reach out. You have tax issues, please reach out. You want to have to get exemptions, you want to import your machinery, but please reach out. You want to register the company, please reach out. You are looking for technologies, please reach out. You are looking for markets, please reach out. And we have to be in this together. So the challenge is that you are there, you have issues, but where I'm seated here, I can't know. And when you go out there, they say government or Uganda Investment Authority is not helping us. But it will be hard if I really don't know. That may I appreciate this platform, and if we can have more of these engagements, we'll be able to have more barazas so that we really iron out these issues, or we are able to facilitate. So our role is to facilitate you, is to give, to advise you, and also to link you to any service that you want. It could be business opportunities or could be government services. And that's why we even established that portal, so that you are able to tell us, we are able to communicate. Because every day we get opportunities, but we don't know where to direct them, because majority of you are either in the formal sector or they are not traceable. So if we really have your profile, then we will be able to really reach out to you and advise you. Lastly, please comply. If you want opportunities in government, even in private, or even to build that investor confidence, if you are not registered, formalized, no one is going to listen. No one can invest in you when you don't have a registered company. At least minimum register company, then other things will follow. So when you comply, then you are able to compete internally, regionally, and maybe continental. So I urge you, please, to comply by formalizing your businesses, even paying taxes. Only that the challenge is that people are hearing taxes, but there are categories that if you have your records and you declare, even the law says you can file zero returns up to 7 years. From there, then you start paying 50%, because there is no business that can keep doing losses for 7 years and they keep operating, because the majority would file zero returns for as long as 20 years. But the law was revised. You are allowed, if you're a startup, to file zero returns until you break even or make profit and start paying taxes. But you find most businesses don't have the records. When a URA person comes, they can estimate whatever they want. But if you have your records well captured, then you can be able to defend yourself and ensure, no, I'm not making profits, I'm still making losses, or this is the profits I'm making, so that this is the money I'm going to pay. So I urge you, please comply, then seek out for services. We are here to really facilitate you and support you, and every opportunity that really comes, we'll be able to channel it to you and for you to benefit. Please visit us or go to the portal, profile your business there, then I will be able to get in touch with you. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Richard. Just a quick, maybe poll. How many of us would like to have their license by show of hands or reaction, just to see on the call? How many of us would like to apply for the license, investment license, want to, something like that? I can see one person. Can use reaction, you can use hand raise. Yeah, I see two people, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that is a very good start. And I think, Richard, you already have some good leads on the call. Thank you.
We'll be
Thank you
happy to
very
serve
much.
you.
Yes. Thank you very much for making time for us. I am, on behalf of the participants, we are very, very humbled and glad that you shared your quick insights and knowledge about the ecosystem. Kindly deliver our vote of appreciation to your seniors. Because all questions were answered, and I am sure the participants are very satisfied with the answers. I know there could be some issues around policy and a few other things, but it's work in progress, as Richard mentioned at certain things. And maybe at this particular point in time, we have 11 minutes left. For those who did not listen in to the initial presentation about startup funding vehicles, how you can join this cause, you heard Mr. Richard saying if we can have more of these barazas or meetings to discuss this aspect, maybe we could indeed get more clarity, be supported better and well. But before Eric starts, I want to recognize the members of SFV. I see Albert Beine, Mr. Albert Beine. I saw Mr. Dr. Charles Miner. I saw Mr. Epaphroditus. I saw, of course, Eric Jaguara. I saw Dr. Batutunga. I saw Mr. Okay, I think Miss Roy Ndagire and many others. So you can join us so that we can together and affirmatively change this narrative. We want to join the big four. We want to be counted in Nigeria, Egypt, Kenya, and South Africa. Uganda should come in that figure. Maybe they start saying the big five, one thing you don't know that in 2023, Africa raised only a total of $2 billion US in investments, but we have a potential of local 40 billion a year to unlock in Africa locally. That tells you the opportunity is big, and we are looking forward to people who can join us so that we change this narrative. Africa might need to, be at, we do not have to always be at the receiving hand. We can also be at the giving hand, just like most countries were in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s there. But the countries we are supporting externally now are 150 times ahead of us. So we must together influence this space. Eric, if you're there, kindly you can lead the conversation on presenting about SFV quickly and briefly.
Yes, Ken, thank you very much. It's always our usual to share a brief about startup funding vehicles at the beginning and always at the end for our colleagues who are not so familiar with it. So, startup funding vehicles, once again, is aimed at strengthening our local investment networks. It is an open ecosystem project, meaning everyone is welcome. It's championed by TechBuzz Hub, but that doesn't mean it is owned by TechBuzz Hub. Everyone is open. Organizations, companies, individuals, you're all welcome. So our aim is to empower local investors who in turn will help support the homegrown startups. One of the biggest challenges that affects the startup ecosystem is funding. So we are aiming at bridging the funding gap, and usually, if we are to even be trusted by the other people abroad or anywhere, it begins by first them seeing us as as Ugandans investing in our own startups. So if we grow our local investor network, in turn, we even will get bigger investment from abroad even too. Mm. So that is it. Um, if you look at the big four, as Ken has been talking about, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Egypt. Yes, Nigeria in 2022 was able to raise 1.2 billion locally for their startups, as in the Nigerians themselves were able to raise it and put it in their own startup ecosystem. In Kenya, 8% of their GDP is averagely got from the it's called the what?
Silicon Savannah.
Silicon Savannah. South Africa, 23%. Also, the same from their startups. $400 million were raised in Egypt locally. Eh, So, a robust, what are we aiming at? What's our vision board? We are aiming at a robust investment culture within Uganda and also raising investor knowledge and learning in Uganda. Educate investors on startup opportunities, engage our stakeholders, meaning everyone, each of you, either as a university, as a company, individuals, engaging you to enhance our local funding. So, just as these webinars we are holding, we are sharing insights and best practices led by industry experts such as today. Thank you very much for sharing with us today. Uh, our milestones so far, we have done various research training activities, made various collaborations such as with UNCST. We have participated in various key programs supporting is the local fluent fundraisings for various good causes. These are some of the photos of activities we have been in so far. Um, so what next? We are still doing more further research in the funding landscape, uh, developing out the investor local networks. Of course, we hope at least we could have startup investment support centers reason in Uganda, and also we'll explore more diverse funding mechanisms. Um, Strategic collaborations, of course, that is it in summary uh, about SFV. So, just as the link you used today to join the webinar, all you have to do is just to change the last digit. So, today was SFV webinar 3. The next one in the next 2 weeks will be SFV webinar 4, and like that, 4, 5, every after 2 weeks. Just change that last digit on Friday, you'll be able to enter into the webinar. So in case you wish to join us, the link down, the bit.ly/funding vehicles is what you're supposed to follow. You'll get to the form, get more details, the different packages of how you could enter in. Uh, so this was a previous webinar, today's webinar. And the membership tiers that we have. Ken, I think, help share details better in the membership tiers.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric. So membership tiers, these contributions, if you want to contribute to this conversation, We know we are not a for-profit for now. We are looking at empowerment of the local ecosystem into getting local investors. Supporting and engaging into these conversations is costs, of course, some resources along the way with administrative challenges. Of course, we have activities in the vision board. As you noticed, we need to do a landscape about investment in Uganda. We need to definitely need someone who coordinates, these meetings, identifies next panelists for this particular event. So these resources are supposed to help in operational stuff. And as we also mentioned, I mean, if we do not improve or make the communication explicit, then it becomes very hard for us to actually unlock this potential local ecosystem of investors. So all the resources are meant to support this cause, support maybe eventually if we have raised big membership, some of the resources could be even be used to give some small investment tickets. They could be grants, they could be return kind of into the vehicles, At the end of the day, if we are saying we are empowering startups we are empowering Ugandans to start creating funding vehicles such as venture capital firms, such as angel investment, such as maybe crowdfunding, name it. Maybe at one point we would want to build our own. That is why membership, this kind of membership is necessary. So there are different options, and if you are interested, as long as you apply in the bit.ly/funding vehicles, at a later stage, you either are reached out to by that supporting secretariat or administrator on how you can understand these options, but also for you to choose the best fit option, because at the end of the day, it's work. You might choose an option where you want to directly be involved. You might choose an option where you just want to be at the high level perspective of things. Just like our facilitator told us that we need to have an advisory, a board of directors. If at the end of the day, we want to turn out into an investment vehicle, maybe have an investment vehicle side of things. So to lead the way, maybe that will be necessary, but we need people who are convinced and who are ready to invest into this kind of project in terms of manpower, in terms of advisory, in terms of even advocacy, ambassadorship, to get as many people interested in this conversation as possible. But particularly, we also want to work with media fraternity. If you are part of the call or and you're from the media, or someone from the media, would very happily appreciate your recommendation, your introduction, because as you know, all initiatives mostly fail because of communications, because of not telling the story. So we'd be happy for those communications. And should you have any question at this juncture, please feel free to ask the question. I know we are late by 1 minute, but it's still fine. If you have a question, we can cover it and call it a day. Thank you very much for attending and for making time for this session. The next session, these sessions are bi-monthly. So it's after every 2 weeks that we have the next session. After every 2 weeks, we have the next session. So always feel free to make time, invite your colleagues, friends, so that this conversation becomes impactful to those who are interested in it. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand or actually unmute and ask the question. Thank you. Over to you.